Hey there, YouTube. California Prepper here. Well, I was sitting here looking on Amazon, looking at a couple knives, wanting to buy something new for myself. And I kind of want to ask your guys' opinion. What's the overall consensus on, what's the preferred blade shape out there? Does anybody know that? Is it just a personal thing? Or, I've asked a few people, what their favorite blade shape and grind were, and a couple of them said just a drop point. They really like the classiness of it. It's an original design. Doesn't look very intimidating. This knife has a little bit more belly than the rest of them, but it's a gentleman's folder knife. Um, Unlike these big Bowie looking designs that they have back here, or a Ford recurve Warncliffe gravitation pattern. you know you whip that out to open a letter and somebody's gonna have a heart attack. So a lot of the older generations seem to go not even really with a knife this big of a knife. Oh my goodness, my boss would have called this. I carried this knife to work when I was a cashier, and my boss damn near had a heart attack. I was working the graveyard 11:45 to 7:30, and he's seen this one night. I was opening a box, and why do you bring a buck knife to work? I said, a buck knife? What are you talking about, a buck knife? This is a folding knife. It's not a big old buck knife. And obviously, my boss had no idea about knives, but to him, this was a huge buck knife. Obviously, this was a knife that I bought before I really was into knives, and I knew a little bit better, because I really do not like the serrated edge anymore. Actually, I take that back. I do like it sometimes. It does come in handy sometimes. So, like I was saying, I've really had a few people, more than a few people, come up to me lately. I've had relatives, friends, family, subs, just people on YouTube in general, asking me what is the best knife for me. And like I tell them every time, it really just depends on the variables. Are you a cop? Are you a farmer? Are you a maintenance man? You know, what are you going to be using the knife for? It all depends. Do you need a multi-tool instead of a knife? I mean, if you're a maintenance man, a multi-tool has everything you need, just about. Uh, but um, still, I guess that really isn't a good enough answer for them. And I try to go into it more, and I try to show them a couple of my knives, and ask them, well, uh, do you like this? Do you like that? So what I'm getting at is I came up with a little list, really, and I kind of want to share it with you guys and see what you guys think, what your guys' answers are. Do you guys, what do you prefer out of these? So I'm going to read off the questions, and maybe, hopefully, a couple of you guys will be willing to share some answers with me and give me a little insight into it. So the first thing I have is you have to decide if you want a fixed blade or a folder. Now, obviously, most of the time you're going to want a folding blade if you're going to try and carry it in public. Walking around, you do not want to carry a fixed blade, down the street too often. You really get looked at funny that way when you're walking down the street with a K-bar, strapped to your leg. Um, so, a folding knife is always a good option for walking around in public. Drop it in the pocket, and nobody knows you have it until you need it. So next up, you have to decide, do you want a plain or a serrated edge? Actually, before that, you have to decide which blade shape you want. Like I said, there are many, many blade shapes. Here are the blade shapes that are on this list, and let's see, we have, go all the way to the very top. We have the straight back blade. We have the trailing point upswept. We have the California clip point. We have a Turkish clip point. We have a drop point, which is one of my favorites. We have a spear point, which is a pretty cool looking, pretty neat looking blade. We have a dagger, or the Texas toothpick, which I really don't care for too much. We have an American Tonto. I'm really not a Tonto guy, but it has its place in the knife world. Definitely has a purpose. The Japanese Tonto, I really like the look of that. It's a pretty cool looking shape. The sheep's foot, like I said, I love this shape as well. Definitely has a place in the knife world. This is an awesome, awesome shape for many different reasons. We have the Wharncliffe. The Wharncliffe is one of my favorite blade shapes. This is actually one of the first knives that I ever wanted was a Wharncliffe blade. And I actually settled for a sheep's foot because actually it was given to me, so there really wasn't a choice. But I really wanted a case Wharncliffe Trapper. That was one of my biggest wants as a young kid. But now that I'm older, I've seen to move past those knives and more into the bigger realm of knives. But anywho, back to this list before I run out of time. Next up, we have the Hawksbill Talon. That's a pretty cool looking blade. That's kind of like the bear claw or the or stuff like that. We have a kukri shape, which is an awesome shape for a machete or a kukri when you're going out into the woods. We have the recurved blade, which is also an awesome shape. Great slicer. That's going to be on one of the future blades headed here. I can't share that with you yet. There was a problem with the USPS, United States Postal Service. Man, I wish I could freaking have a picket out in front of there, man. Have a little group with picket signs. I am so upset with them. I'll save that for another video. Down here we have the blade with the swedge and a false edge. So that means up here it looks like it's a double-edged knife, but it's just a false edge. Right here we have the Dow Blaine. I've never really seen one of those in person. I don't think. It's just really a real big cleft, I think. Right here we have a forward recurve Wharncliffe with gravitation pattern. Now that's a very different looking shape. Right here we have the reverse Tonto, or the lacerator pattern. Seems to be a pretty cool pattern. Never really seen that up close. Down here we have the modified Tonto, and it seems to be a pretty decent looking shape as well. Like how it has a little bit of recurve there. It's pretty nice. And what's that? Last here on the list we have the Frog Spear Point Dagger, which is just a weird, wicked fantasy folder, you know, looking blade. I don't know if that's really necessary for anything. If it's, I mean, if you EDC that and you really do use it on a daily basis, I would love to hear from you to know what the hell you need that for. Because that is a wicked looking blade, and I do not know what job you would be doing that you would need a knife that shape for. But hey, you know, if they're out there, let me know. You know, everybody has their shape, I guess. Don't want to down anybody here, but those are the shapes that this list has anyway. There are also several different grinds. We have the full convex grind. We have the full flat grind, which I really prefer. It's very sharp. A lot of the Spydercos are full flat ground. We have the high flat ground knife. We have a hollow ground, and we have a Scandi ground. There are other grinds that I'm not seeing here, but these are the main grinds that are used for the most part. So you really have to, you know, just find out which shape you want, which grind you want, what look you want, what steel you're looking for. I mean, there's a lot of different things incorporated in what kind of knife would be right for you. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Probably have a part 2 to this here in the near future, but that's going to do it for now. So I'm going to get out of here before I keep rambling, and I will talk to you guys soon. California Prepper, I'm out of here.